Valerie Bertinelli arrived on the Kelly Clarkson Show with the intention of promoting her latest cookbook and sharing uplifting stories from her personal journey. Viewers were excited to see the beloved actress and TV personality join Kelly for what was expected to be a warm, engaging conversation. Valerie, known for her bubbly energy and heartfelt honesty, took her seat with a bright smile, unaware that the interview ahead would take an unexpectedly tense turn. Kelly greeted Valerie with her usual enthusiasm, praising her for her recent accomplishments and her motivational presence online. The two exchanged friendly compliments, creating an atmosphere that seemed lighthearted at first. However, as the conversation transitioned into deeper topics, Valerie sensed that the tone was shifting in a direction she had not anticipated. Kelly began asking Valerie about her personal transformation journey, a subject Valerie has openly discussed but also considers deeply emotional. Valerie answered politely, expressing gratitude for the growth she had experienced. Still, beneath her calm voice, there was a subtle hesitation. She seemed unsure of where the questioning was heading, and her body language shifted slightly as she folded her hands. Kelly continued by referencing past interviews and moments from Valerie's life that had attracted public attention. While the intention may have been to highlight Valerie's resilience, the questions grew increasingly pointed. Valerie attempted to steer the conversation back toward her new projects, but Kelly's follow-ups kept circling back to personal and vulnerable areas Valerie had not planned to address on that particular day. As Valerie tried to maintain composure, she offered gracious responses, but her discomfort became more noticeable. Her voice wavered slightly, and she paused frequently before answering. The audience sensed the tension growing, and even Kelly seemed to realize that the conversation was becoming more emotionally charged than expected. The moment that shifted the energy completely came when Kelly asked a question about a past relationship that Valerie had been avoiding publicly. Valerie took a long breath, her smile faltering as she tried to respond diplomatically. The question felt intrusive, touching on a chapter of her life she preferred to leave behind. Valerie politely stated that she wasn't comfortable discussing that topic, hoping the host would move on. However, Kelly pressed gently but persistently, framing her question as something the fans wanted to know. Though likely meant to be harmless, the insistence struck a nerve. Valerie's expression hardened for a brief second before she looked away from Kelly, visibly frustrated. The studio atmosphere thickened with discomfort as viewers witnessed the usually cheerful Valerie become increasingly unsettled. Valerie, attempting to remain professional, shifted in her chair and explained that she preferred to focus on her current work rather than revisit painful memories. Kelly nodded but attempted to reword the question once more. At that point, the audience held its breath, sensing that Valerie had reached her emotional threshold. Valerie's voice cracked slightly as she responded, "I really don't want to talk about that anymore." She tried to smile through the tension, but her hands trembled slightly. Kelly, caught between maintaining the flow of her show and respecting her guests' boundaries, hesitated before offering another question, one that, unintentionally, circled back to another sensitive subject. The repeated probing into emotional territory became too much for Valerie. She paused, exhaled deeply, and looked toward the studio exit. Her jaw tightened as she tried to regain composure, but the mounting frustration was evident. The camera zoomed in slightly, revealing her eyes welling up not with sadness, but with a mix of embarrassment, irritation, and emotional exhaustion. Valerie finally said, "I think I need a minute," before standing up. The audience gasped as she removed her microphone pack. For a moment, she appeared torn between staying to salvage the interview and protecting her own emotional well-being. Ultimately, she chose to walk off the set, her departure calm but filled with unmistakable determination. Kelly sat in stunned silence for a moment, clearly surprised by the sudden exit. She attempted to explain to the audience that emotions can run high and that sometimes conversations take unexpected turns. She assured viewers that Valerie was welcome to return anytime and expressed her respect for Valerie's openness and vulnerability. Backstage, Valerie took a moment to breathe and regain her composure. Crew members approached her with empathy, offering water and giving her space. Valerie later confided that the interview had caught her off guard, especially because she had come with the intention of spreading positivity and sharing joyful news. Meanwhile, social media erupted with reactions. Clips of Valerie walking off the set began circulating within minutes, sparking debates among fans about whether Kelly had crossed the line. Some argued that Kelly was simply doing her job as an interviewer, while others felt deeply protective of Valerie, believing she had been pushed too far emotionally. Media outlets picked up the story quickly. Headlines ranged from dramatic retellings of the walk-off to more empathetic pieces about the importance of respecting emotional boundaries. The incident sparked conversations about how much is too much when discussing personal matters on public platforms. Valerie later addressed the situation in a short video posted to her followers. She explained that although she valued open discussions, she believed in setting boundaries for her emotional well-being. She emphasized that walking away was not an act of anger, but rather an act of self-care. Her message resonated with many viewers who admired her honesty. Kelly also released a statement expressing her admiration for Valerie and apologizing if any question had caused discomfort. She clarified that her intention had never been to push Valerie into discussing anything painful. Kelly emphasized that she held deep respect for Valerie as a guest and human being. Fans of both Valerie and Kelly came together with messages of support, recognizing that misunderstandings can happen even between well-meaning individuals. Many praised Valerie for standing up for herself and praised Kelly for addressing the situation openly. The incident eventually became a widely discussed example of the importance of emotional boundaries, especially in high-pressure media environments. Public conversations shifted toward advocating for more compassionate interview styles that prioritize guests' comfort. Valerie later returned to promoting her cookbook and continued engaging with fans in her signature, uplifting manner. The walk-off did not overshadow her career. Instead, it strengthened her reputation as someone who values authenticity and mental well-being. In the weeks that followed, talk show hosts across networks quietly revisited their interview strategies. Producers emphasized sensitivity, especially when discussing topics with emotional weight. Valerie's walk-off inadvertently influenced a shift toward more respectful interviewing practices. Valerie admitted in a later interview that the moment had shaken her, but it had also empowered her. She felt stronger for speaking up and trusted that her followers understood her decision. She emphasized the value of advocating for one's emotional health even in uncomfortable moments. Fans continued praising her courage, sharing their own stories of walking away from situations that violated their emotional boundaries. Valerie became a symbol of strength for many who had struggled to assert themselves in similar ways. Kelly and Valerie eventually reconnected privately, sharing a warm conversation where Kelly offered heartfelt understanding. The two women clarified their intentions, reaffirmed mutual respect, and ended the discussion with renewed appreciation for each other. Months later, Valerie made a surprise reappearance on Kelly's show, this time under far more positive circumstances. The reunion was met with cheers from the audience and flooded with online praise. It showcased how two professionals could grow from a tense moment and reconnect with empathy. Their follow-up interview was filled with laughter, heartfelt comments, and an acknowledgement of their past misunderstanding. The moment served as a reminder that conflict doesn't have to define relationships. Growth and understanding can transform even the most difficult situations. Valerie highlighted the importance of listening to one's emotional signals and trusting oneself enough to walk away when necessary. She explained that no job, interview, or expectation was worth compromising inner peace. Kelly, too, shared what she had learned, namely, that even well-intended questions can sometimes land wrong and that respecting emotional cues is essential in any meaningful conversation. Their renewed connection became an inspiring example for other public figures, showing how grace, communication, and vulnerability could repair misunderstandings and build stronger bonds. The story of Valerie Bertinelli storming off the Kelly Clarkson Show remained a significant moment, one not defined by conflict, but by authenticity, courage, and personal boundaries. It reminded viewers everywhere that everyone, even beloved celebrities, has the right to protect their emotional space and choose peace over pressure. After the reunion episode aired, Audiences praised both Valerie and Kelly for handling the situation with maturity. Viewers commented on how refreshing it was to see two public figures address a misunderstanding honestly instead of letting it spiral into drama. Social media was filled with supportive messages applauding the women for showing that healing conversations are possible when both sides listen with compassion. Valerie later shared in a magazine interview that the moment she walked off the set had been a turning point for her. She expressed that, even though it was difficult in the moment, it helped her understand the importance of prioritizing her emotional needs. She stated that she hoped others watching would feel empowered to set boundaries in their own lives without fear of judgment or backlash. Kelly also spoke about the incident on her radio show, explaining that interviewers sometimes unintentionally misread cues or push topics that guests aren't ready for. She said she learned that day to always check in with guests emotionally, even if the conversation seems to be flowing smoothly. Kelly emphasized that her respect for Valerie had only grown deeper after seeing how courageously she handled the situation. Behind the scenes, producers from multiple talk shows discussed the incident during industry meetings. They acknowledged that while interviews often thrive on emotional depth and vulnerability, there must be clear lines that hosts and producers avoid crossing. Valerie's walk-off became part of training conversations for new staff, reminding them of the responsibility they hold in creating safe spaces for guests. Fans who attended the live taping of the original episode later revealed that the tension in the room was palpable moments before Valerie walked out. Several audience members described feeling protective of her, noting how gracefully she tried to handle the increasingly personal questions. Their eyewitness accounts added another layer of empathy to the public's understanding of what had transpired. Valerie also opened up about how the experience had prompted her to reassess her relationships with the media. She explained that while she adored sharing her life with fans, she realized she didn't owe anyone access to every part of her story. She spoke about the importance of maintaining mystery, privacy, and personal boundaries even in a world that increasingly demands emotional openness from public figures. Experts in celebrity culture and media commented on the situation, highlighting how rare it is for a live guest to walk off a show without anger or confrontation. Instead, Valerie's calm yet firm exit became a moment of empowerment. Many professionals praised her for demonstrating that one can set boundaries respectfully without creating unnecessary conflict. The incident also encouraged viewers at home to reflect on their own experiences with uncomfortable conversations. Many people wrote comments online saying they had been inspired to speak up or walk away from situations where they felt pushed beyond their comfort levels. Valerie's moment on the show became a catalyst for personal growth in countless households. As time passed, Valerie's fan base grew stronger. Many admired her authenticity and her refusal to prioritize public expectations over personal well-being. Valerie's message that it's okay to protect your heart became a guiding reminder that resonated deeply with fans of all ages. Kelly, too, gained respect for her transparency in addressing the issue. She chose not to hide behind PR statements or excuses. Instead, she acknowledged that she could have handled the emotional intensity differently. Her openness helped repair the situation and strengthened her reputation as an empathetic host who learns from her mistakes. Months after the original walk-off, Valerie filmed a special episode focused on mental health awareness. During the taping, she referenced the walk-off incident without naming details, explaining that everyone faces moments where they must choose between internal discomfort and self-protection. The audience applauded loudly, recognizing the significance of her vulnerability. Producers approached Valerie with opportunities to share her insights on emotional boundaries in interviews and publications. She accepted several invitations, feeling that her experience might help others who struggle to stand up for themselves. Each time she spoke, her message was rooted in kindness rather than criticism. The walk-off also deepened Valerie's connection with her followers. She began posting more candid reflections on her social media platforms about self-worth, healing, and inner peace. Fans appreciated her openness and found comfort in knowing that even successful public figures wrestle with similar emotional challenges. Meanwhile, Entertainment news outlets continued revisiting the incident as a reference point whenever other celebrities faced tense interviews. Valerie's example became a benchmark for how to respectfully exit a situation that feels emotionally unsafe. Her dignified response stood out amid a media landscape often filled with sensationalism. Ultimately, Valerie's walk-off moment evolved from a brief moment of tension into a story of strength, growth, and resilience. It highlighted the importance of emotional autonomy and underscored that even under the bright lights of a television set, every person deserves to feel safe, respected, and heard.